Welcome back. This is the SMG Blacklist podcast. I'm one of your hosts, number 23 on the list, Jack Wingrosky, and with me is...
Number 13, Melissa Maxey.
All right, so this is episode 11 of season 3, Mr. Gregory Devry. And it seems that we're opening into this scene where Mr. Kaplan has got her cleaning crew, and we've got this mystery that somebody's been killed, and we've got we're right in the middle of all this action. And then what happens? Melissa?
Mr. Kaplan puts her headphones on, and the next thing we know, the door's being bust down and all the crew is killed. Mr. Kaplan's just cleaning away, and they pull off her headphones, and they say, "Tell him we know." And we're like, what does he know? What does that mean?
Well, obviously somebody's coming after Red, and it's kind of a cheap blow because they save Mr. Kaplan to kind of give the info, but kill all the cleaning crew. And, that's like something I think we should kind of get back to when we figure out what all happened in this episode, because, they kind of make a big deal about, all the girls that got shot, and, they'll take care of their families, and this is a big tragedy. But it kind of does the big switcheroo. I was all ready for this start of this mystery, and it's another hunt for Red Reddington. So
will the real Red Reddington stand up, please?
Yeah, right. So it sets up. Red figures, okay, somebody's coming after me, and he's going to tell Liz about this criminal syndicate called the Shell Island Retreat. And she's like, "Are you giving me a case? We just got done." He's like,
"Don't you want to take a vacation?"
Yeah. Says, "This is my whole life. I don't get vacations." I think she forgets that this is the life that she's chosen, and this is the life that Red has already lived for 30-something years. So they track down one of the members. They show this guy, and he's got all these articles and pinups about Red Reddington and Liz, and he's obviously getting ready to go somewhere, which we think we've been told this guy is getting ready to go to Shell Island. The team breaks in, and wrestler gets him up, and "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Red Reddington."
British accent.
Right.
I'm Red Reddington.
And so, like you said, will the real Red Reddington please stand up? So the first thing they do, of course, if you're going to claim to be Red Reddington, they're going to put you in the red box. Of course.
Welcome to the post office.
So now he's sitting at the task force, and they don't know what to do with it. And even Raymond is there. He comes up, and of course, this is all, this is just a game to get at me. And the guy is kind of convincing that, "Hey, you've been doing all this stuff under my name. I come up, from underground and find out that, this guy's been using my name." And he starts giving details about missions and things that only Red would know about. And, it's like, well, okay, where's he getting this info? I really wasn't taking the bait. It was almost, were you starting to wonder if...
I knew that he wasn't who he said he was, but I couldn't figure, when I was watching it, I couldn't figure out where they were going with it, and it...
It did seem to kind of go on for a while in that kind of in between who is the real Reddington bit.
I mean, even Liz was like, "Is he?"
Well,
and Reddington makes a little joke about it, and talks about how he's Freddington, it's like, like Shell Island Retreat, Shell Island, right? Shell, the Shell game, right? Where's the little ball under the shell?
Right.
There was a lot of little, Easter eggs in this episode.
So, they go through this back and forth, and finally, the temporary, I don't know what to call him, the Freddington, the fake Reddington. We'll call him the Freddington. Gets Liz and said, if you'll give me my freedom, I'll get to Shell Island and I will show you, what's going on. I will show you that Raymond is an imposter, and you just let me go. And so I didn't think they would do it. They put a wire on him and they let Freddington, they let him go. That really surprised me. I really didn't see what the advantage to letting this guy, except they want to find out where this meeting is and he knows where it is. Once he led them to the meeting, I don't know that there was any reason for him to actually be in the room.
No, because Raymond got there first and said he took over the meeting.
Right.
So
right. So we already know that Red Reddington is the leader of the Shell Island retreat. And at first, Raymond is making it seem like, oh, I'm just doing this to infiltrate. And he's doing this in pretty much plain daylight. Because the guy goes in with a wire in his cufflinks, and Red is just conducting the meeting. And so they're sitting back at the task force. What is he doing? They have no idea what his plan is, but there he is at the table, and this guy starts accusing Reddington of being a traitor and all these things. Right, that he's an informant, accusing him of being an informant for the FBI. Although really it's only the cabal, but I guess a lot of the people on the blacklist have been members of this retreat. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the whole cabal thing that we forget that Liz and Reddington have already brought down 2 seasons worth of people without the cabal even being involved yet.
Right.
And so we're finally getting to some repercussions for that. I think it was a long time coming. You can't just put all your friends and coworkers on this list and not expect people to start suspecting that Red's the guy that's behind this.
Well, and this whole thing with Reddington, at this meeting, and he's like, well, he's an imposter. He's an informant for the FBI, and they strip him, and he's got a wire. So I mean, he's already turned all of these people against this guy, and he comes out the victor, right? That was the whole plan.
Well, yeah, was it an Italian guy? I couldn't identify the accent, but he's the one that's really brought Red to task, pretty much outright accusing him of what's going on. And Red uses that. He says, oh, the guy walks in, I'm Red Reddington. He says, this is the guy that's been setting you up. And this is the guy that's been informing with the FBI. And said, in fact, he's working with them. And how he identified the wire that he was wearing, he says, I never wear cufflinks. And everybody looks, and they grab him and throw him on the table and then pull out the cufflinks, smash him up, and there's the wire. And so the guy kind of gets right up to him, and Red just grabs a letter opener or a knife or something and just stabs the guy all the way, up into his sternum. And he just whispers in his ear, you were right. I'm the informant. And I thought, oh man, that was the best Red. Yeah. I'm going to nominate Red right now for MVP just for that move, just because that was awesome. Just, not only did he kill the guy that was accusing him, he winds up killing in front of the whole committee. And as he's dying, tells him the truth that, yes, actually, he is the informant.
That's not even the best part of this episode. We haven't even gotten to the part about Tom Keene and Liz Keene.
I know, but I'm telling you, that's what just stood out to me. The definite, if you want to look up the definition of Red Reddington, I think it was summed up in that one scene. So let's move on. That's a good point. What about Tom and Liz?
So Liz finds Tom, over by his boat, and she, comes up to him, and the first thing he does is he turns around and grabs this little washer and, like, gets down on his knees, like, starts asking her to marry him. Mm-hmm. And she's stunned, and so the rest of us are kind of not really stunned. We're expecting it.
Right.
And he, she's like, I don't even know what I'm going to be thinking about in the next 10 years. I don't even know what I'm going to want in 10 years. But she goes, I know what I want right now. And they move into the boat.
Yeah, into the boat bedroom, you mean?
Exactly.
They get all hot and heavy. She says that, but I think her life isn't what it was going to be. She's not going back to the FBI. I think we talked about that last episode. I think she is, but as it stands right now, what they've told us is that she's been convicted of a felony. She's not going to be, as it stands, part of the task force as anything other than an informant. And, so all of a sudden, Tom doesn't look so bad anymore. She's, it's not a conflict. It's not a conflict of interest. Tom really hasn't been part of the criminal empire for quite a while now. Everything he's done has been to help Liz. I'm not that he hasn't killed people and done illegal things, but it was all to protect her.
And she's just trying to get her life back. She's trying to get her apartment back. She's trying to put things into place. And as the episode ends, we see her, she's out shopping and she gets attacked, like brutally attacked. And the guy beats her so badly that she's in the hospital. So when we see her, the doctor comes in to tell her how she's doing and how are you feeling? And she's like, I've had worse. And he goes through all of the things that happened to her. We have broken ribs. And she said, I've had broken ribs before. And the next thing he says is, the baby's fine. And the rest of us go, who? What baby?
What?
What?
The what?
And she did too.
Man, yeah, that was just out of the blue. I mean, how many times has this happened? They've been married. They've been, let's say, sexually active before. And even after the relationship, I think it happened at least once. All of a sudden, there's like, oh, wow, yeah, this kind of activity makes babies. All of a sudden, it's like, where did that come from? Yeah, they've been trying for the whole baby thing for, like, that entire first season was all about them having a baby and, trying this and trying that. And it's like, oh, holy cow, man, this like complicates the whole thing because Tom wants to marry her and, Red isn't going to let that happen.
No, I don't think Red's going to be very happy about this.
No.
The reason, they're doing this is because Megan Boone is actually pregnant in real life. And it was a big controversy for, when she came out with the news that she was pregnant, like what they were going to do with the storyline.
Right.
Because the storyline isn't really conducive for a baby, right? But I think they obviously have worked it out because they've announced on the show that she's pregnant. So they have a plan for what they're going to do. And it's going to make it more interesting for us because we'll be able to see conflict between Tom and Reddington and Liz and Tom and Liz and Reddington. And it's just going to bring a lot more dynamic and more drama to the Blacklist.
Speaking of drama, I just don't see, of course, we talked about this when we were watching the show and messaging each other, but I was really surprised that this guy got the drop on Liz in the parking lot when she's been fighting the highest levels of criminal activity, and that this guy gets away with a sucker punch was just unfathomable to me. That if she had seen that coming, she could have taken that yokel out like no problem. I think it almost made me think it was a professional hit at first, that this was somebody coming after her, until I realized that this is one of those like Trump supporter things that everybody in America now thinks of her as this master criminal and a traitor to the United States. And I think that kind of sets up that kind of an idiot mentality that people get from the media. And she's she'll always be in danger of that.
They needed a way for her to get the news that she was pregnant too, right? So they needed an incident to happen where she was going to find out somehow. And it also was, I think that, after being through all the things that she had been through, I think she'd let her guard down. She was trying to get back to a normal life. And I think that after this episode, she realized that she just can't let her guard down at all.
I know, and knowing
life, that she's never going to have that normal life.
Right. And I think knowing the truth that it furthers the storyline. I don't think it softened the blow. At some point, my sense of injustice says, I really want Red to find out who this guy is. Who? Yes. I mean, who? You're not even supposed to hit a girl when you want to. Yeah, and this guy sucker punches. Not only does he hit a girl, but he sucker punches a girl. That's worse than that. To me, that's worse than stabbing somebody in the back. Somebody that just can't defend themselves, and he goes in. But, that's kind of the state of where we live in. You have these, like, you see these kind of things where, now, like, people from the political parties, people that support one side or the other, everybody hates the other. And, much like the NFL teams, you have these big rivalries and people will stab each other over a football game, yet the players, they don't have that kind of hate. And it was just, it really tweaked my, my injustice meter. And somewhere in the background, I want Red to, just like as a backstory, like Red actually finds out who this guy is and just kind of drops him off a building.
That could happen.
Yeah, I'm not saying not to move the storyline along, but
just for like retribution.
Right. Yeah, I want the guy that sucker punched the girl to get a little piece of red, a little red retribution. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Can we edit that out? I don't think so.
No, I don't think you should.
All right, so like this one, I think they've kind of dialed down. I think it's more. It was a traditional list. I think the switcheroo at the very end that Red's body double was
actually
a cancer patient. He had terminal stomach cancer, and wanted Red to kind of take care of the problem and kill him. It was kind of suicide by Red, and so it was all part of the plan. And it's like, wow, that was a switcheroo.
That was a perfect shell game.
It was, for, I guess, I don't want to call it a filler episode, but it kind of is. We had the big storyline. This is pretty much just filler to set up.
It's a transition
to the pregnancy and all that. But I thought they really did a good job for just an in-between episode like that.
Yeah, it was entertaining for sure.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else? I think other than kind of going back to the Blacklist, that's really where we kind of went with this episode.
Yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next episode between, what if Liz tells Reddington that she's pregnant, and what happens when if she tells Tom. That's going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next couple episodes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. Oh, what was the final on the MVP? We can't forget that.
I guess it has to be Reddington. He executed the perfect shell game.
Yeah, he did all the way around. He had everybody going. The what's the group? The Shell Island Retreat going. He had Liz going and the task force. So Reddington wins another MVP award. And so, I'm going to wrap that up. This was the SMG Blacklist podcast brought to you by the Southgate Media Group, where you can catch us and a lot of other shows at www.southgatemediagroup.com. And my Twitter, if you're following that, is at @JWingrowski, and yours and the show is at?
Mine is at MS Maxey, and the show's This is the Blacklist Pod. We're also on Instagram at the Blacklist Pod, and we're also on Facebook under the Blacklist Pod.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it. Until next time.
See you then.